A Ranger, a role-puzzling adventure, is an endearing journey about a young woman finding her place in a world where she feels like she doesn't belong. With an adorable art style, goofy characters, and puzzles that sometimes you complete instantly, and other times spend an entire weekend figuring out, A Ranger is an awesome puzzle game that keeps your brain engaged at all times. Hey there, I'm CGDannyB, and I really like indie games, and I like sharing them with you guys. And today you're watching my review of A Ranger, a role-puzzling adventure. Before we get going, I want to give a huge shout out to PopAgenda for providing me an early copy of the game so I could review it for you today. Now, if you could do me a huge favor and like the video, it not only helps the channel grow, but it also helps more people discover this really cool game. Plus, I'd love to reach 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and spreading the word could really help with that. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about A Ranger. Our journey begins during a flashback on a cold, lonely night, as a strange woman leaves a poor defenseless baby on the front porch of a temple-like building, leaving the player with no real explanation, just a feeling of sympathy for a baby left on their own. Flash forward, however, and this baby has grown into a healthy young woman, in a small town where you've got maybe 5 neighbors max. You wake up from this nightmare as Jemma, the main character of the adventure, who has a very unique yet fairly annoying flaw to her character. After rolling out of bed, saying hello to your mother figure of the game, and stumbling outside to start your day, you realize Jemma's quirk is the entire world moves around with her, and you find out very quickly that this ability is a major hindrance to your fellow townsfolk. After a brief scolding, Jemma decides she needs to finally get out of this small town and see what the rest of the world has to offer, and hopefully find a new place that she can not only call home, but feel like it as well. Along the way, you'll meet a strange cast of characters, all just trying to get by. Some trying to find true love, and others just trying to live their daily life under the strict surveillance of crazy robot birds. Okay, so not everybody's doing so hot. Now we set out to see if Jemma will ever find a place to truly call home, or maybe even discover a few things about her past. Though A Ranger's title teases you into thinking that it's more RPG than it really is, the game chooses to not utilize a lot of RPG mechanics. There's no leveling up, no upgrades, no mana or health bars, just Jemma and the feet that she uses to get around the world, along with a goofy assortment of tools to progress, but we'll touch on those in a little bit. A Ranger, a role-puzzling adventure, features unique gameplay mechanics that blend exploration, movement, and combat onto an interconnected grid. Now, I've already explained the basic gameplay mechanics of A Ranger. As Jemma moves, the world around her shifts, creating a dynamic puzzle environment. And though that's the basics of the puzzle solving, it gets much deeper than that. In whatever crazy world this is, you can also slip through these invisible walls to essentially teleport yourself through to the other side. Now, if you're anything like me, you're gonna do this a lot by accident. But as you play through this game, you'll ultimately be using this feature a lot to reach otherwise inaccessible areas, move required tools into place, or occasionally speed down your path with a lot fewer steps. Just be sure not to overlook this ability to slip through walls, because it was often the one thing that I needed to do to solve a puzzle I was spending way too much time on. Just take note that your path will occasionally be blocked by objects with this purple aura, and these objects cannot be moved by you making your way down the path, so you have to solve these puzzles while working around these annoying obstacles. I can't help but wonder if we slap this purple aura onto everybody in town, if this story would have come to an end much quicker. We won't worry about that right now. The thing I enjoyed the most about A Ranger's puzzles was that they aren't insanely challenging, but they do require you to think sometimes. Now, I know that sounds like a dumb way to phrase that. Why wouldn't you be thinking while trying to solve a puzzle? But with the way the team designed the levels, sometimes the puzzle looks a lot simpler than it really is. Until you move a few spaces, slide some objects into place, and realize, yeah, that's not gonna work. You're gonna have to think 3, 4, maybe 27 steps ahead of yourself, thinking about which movements are gonna affect which objects. And though it does make it sound a lot more complicated than it actually is, it just means that you might have to take a step back, realize what your actions are doing to the world, and figure out how not to mess that up. Sometimes it's not about moving something all the way out of your way, but just enough so you can slip your way past. Sort of like a retail employee trying to squeeze right past you real quick. Yes, I've worked retail before, so my delivery of that line is perfect. And as a former retail worker, be nice to retail workers. But anyway, you'll also need to know that you've got to be careful when moving things around, or you might make the puzzle harder for yourself. As you use these tiles to get around, you'll move random flower pots, paint cans, and cats with jingling collars all over the place. Sometimes those moves are truly inconsequential, and it won't really matter what happens to them. But other times you're gonna have to bring those items with you to solve future puzzles. For example, one of the earlier rooms has a button that you need to hold down in order to take the path. Now, I thought I wasn't able to go this way just yet and needed some kind of upgrade. So then later realized I could just bring one of those flower pots with me to hold down the button so I could move forward. Now, eventually I just got used to this, so I would sometimes bring something with me that I definitely did not need, but at least I was always prepared. Without thinking too hard about how to dissect them, the game features 5 or 6 major areas that you can explore. From a cool waterside village to a dope nightclub with a line way too long for you to be caught waiting in. But each of these areas introduce a new puzzle mechanic to keep the game fresh. From rafts to sail freely across the open waters, to grappling platforms that'll drag you across the map to reach isolated areas. But each of these areas have some incredible artwork to them. From collections of boxes or other terrain lying around, to the epic boss encounters that you'll come across. Now, if any of my thoughts about the challenge of these puzzles left you feeling a bit overwhelmed, don't sweat it, because the Ranger has some accessibility options available to you. There's only two, but they're both super helpful. First is the objective arrow, which just hangs out on the screen and tells you where to go. Now, the game's typically pretty clear about what you need to do, but my presumably undiagnosed ADHD brain gets distracted a lot. So about a quarter of my way through the game, I threw that option on and never looked back. Now, the other accessibility option allows you to skip certain puzzles. The game gives you a warning that most of the puzzles can be skipped, with the exception of a few. Now, I never came across one that was giving me trouble that I wasn't allowed to skip. That being said, I was too stubborn to use it anyway. Now, I thought about it, I really did. With no guides to help me on the internet yet, I went back and I solved the puzzle on my own. However, that's just a me thing, so if you're playing this game, use whatever accessibility options you like. They're there for a reason, so make the game fun for you. So I got to play the demo for Ranger earlier this year during Steam Next Fest, and really enjoyed the beginnings of this puzzle-filled adventure. But after getting my hands on the full experience, I was even more blown away at just how much fun I had exploring this world, and getting that dopamine rush after finally revealing the path to completing some of these puzzles. A Ranger, a role-puzzling adventure, is a unique mashup of a charming world, in-depth puzzle solving, and characters that'll put a smile on your face as you watch them grow as people. And if you want to check out a Ranger for yourself, it releases in just a few days on July 25th for Steam, Switch, and PlayStation consoles. And once again, I want to give a huge shout out to PopAgenda for an early access key so I could review this game for you today. And of course, I gotta thank you guys for watching the video. Let me know if you guys are gonna pick up a Ranger role puzzling adventure for yourself when it releases in just a few days. And last but certainly not least, if you're new here and want to stick around for some more amazing indie gaming content, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. Like this week's episode of Playlog Podcast, we're reviewing Night in the Woods in 2024. This was my first time playing the game, and I'm excited to talk about it with you guys. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.